We will get to those stories in just a bit as we are following some breaking news out of Accomack County. The sheriff's office there and Virginia State Police are learning more about 4 possible suspects involved in a home invasion in Accomack County. But the freezing temperatures this morning could cause for a messy commute. WBOC's Karen Campbell joins us live in Dover this morning. And Karen, the main roads in Kent County are clear, but drivers could have difficulty on some neighborhood and back roads for that matter. Now, yesterday afternoon, a classic ACC matchup unfolded for maybe the final time with the Maryland men moving to the Big Ten in 2014. Saturday could have been the last chance the Terps get to travel down Tobacco Road and take on Duke. Now, would Maryland leave a lasting impression in Durham? To Coach K Court we go. Very good morning to you, Mike.
Good morning, Ayesha.
I liked waking up this morning to the mild temperatures, and it's only going to get better today because I'm going to bust out my flip-flops.
Yes, 60s and 70s. I think that's flip-flop weather.
Well, every second was crucial on Monday afternoon as a Del Mar firefighter and a police officer raced to save a teenager from a burning house. Haven't hit the road just yet? You may want to listen up before you fuel up. Oil prices are a near 2-year high, pushing gas prices even higher. Tomorrow marks another year and still no arrests. With tears streaming down her face, Cynthia Martinez only tells me one thing: whoever killed her son needs to come forward.
Cynthia Martinez cries like this almost every day. She says not one day goes by where she doesn't look through these pictures of her son, Preston Morehouse.
I woke up to a knock at my door, and it was the local police officer there to tell me that my son had been killed.
That fateful day was January 17, 2010. Preston was visiting his best friend at this house near Hebron. At 4 in the morning, there was a knock at the door. Preston answered and was shot in the head.
I just started screaming, and my husband had to go finish. I started screaming and ran into the house.
4 years later, the murder remains a mystery. No arrests, no suspects, nothing. Preston's 19 years of life, now a box full of papers with Maryland State Police Sergeant Mike Smith.
You know, this is every day. It sits right here next to me. This is every day of my life. This is Preston's case.
Cynthia says she's convinced someone out there knows something.
Why did you have to take him? And who could do something like this to him?
Cynthia knows solving this murder mystery won't bring her son back. She just wants closure.
Put whoever killed my son, bring him to justice. He's walking the streets. It's not fair. My son's in the ground. He's been there.
Maryland State Police tell me they may pass around flyers once again. It's the same way they did when the murder happened 4 years ago. In the meantime, anyone with information is asked to call them at 410-749-3101 or call the Crime Solvers Tips Line.
That current food service workers could lose their jobs.
Yeah, Steve, a member of a Washington, D.C.-based employee union tells me that about 70 cafeteria workers and about 30 student workers, or more than 30 student workers, could be impacted. Now, the university tells me that because its food service is self-supporting, there may be no need for it to even keep its own in-house service.
Save our jobs, no layoffs.
That is exactly the message these UMES students, some campus employees, along with union representatives want to convey.
They're trying to bring in another food entity into our university, and if they do bring this entity, a lot of residents, well, not residents, but a lot of people that work in the CAF are going to lose their jobs.
The university has been running its own food service system for nearly 20 years. It's one of 3 Maryland institutions to operate this way, but now it says it needs to make some money-saving changes to that system.
Food service is self-supporting. No public tax dollars are used to support food service. We're looking for efficiencies, and if going the private sector route is a more effective and efficient way to do it, then that's the way we'll go.
Joseph Nixon says he has been a dishwasher in the cafeteria for nearly 30 years. He, along with all of these protesters, even took their message to the campus president, who was out of the office today.
Petitions are delivered to Dr. Bell's office.
Nixon calls any changes to the cafeteria unfair to him and many other longtime employees.
Done my job and stuff like that, but I've done other people's jobs too. I feel that I should be able to keep my job.
Even though university officials aren't saying anything is for sure just yet,
No layoffs! Save our jobs!
these students and employees are hoping their voice will be heard loud and clear.
So Ayesha, let's talk about this a little bit more. What's going to happen with these current cafeteria employees if UMES decides to move forward with these changes?
Yes, Steve, the university tells me that if it happens to move forward with the plans and bring in a private food vendor, then that food vendor, before it takes over these operations, would be required to actually interview or at least consider these employees for a job. The city is trying to get what is known as receivership, basically asking the county circuit court for permission to be able to take over some of these abandoned properties. Right now, you and I are already paying taxes for the city to come and clean the front yards or even cut the grass. The point is to re-energize neighborhoods while promoting public safety.
One after another, abandoned or vacant homes left looking like this in Salisbury. At times, some don't even look that bad on the outside, like this Victorian house on North Division Street. The city says the owner just gave up on it, a site that Neil Carey says he passes by every day.
I think what we want to see most of all is to see people move into these houses and fix them up.
An idea that resonated very well with some city officials, resulting in the creation of a receivership legislation last June.
What we would be doing is asking the circuit court to allow us to intervene when we have properties that meet any one or a number of criteria.
City Manager Tom Stevenson says right now there are 6 of those properties, including the Victorian house and this house, both on North Division. This one on West Philadelphia Avenue, for example, Stevenson says the owners have paid $10,000 in citations, yet are not doing anything about it.
We're pretty much at our last resort. We've tried everything. We've written our corrective action letters. We've made attempts to contact those property owners.
Drive around the corner and you run into some other abandoned homes on Charles, Wales, and Marshall Streets.
We cannot let these properties continue to sit stagnant. In many cases, they are devaluing neighboring properties.
Police Chief Barbara Duncan says sometimes these properties create not only a health and safety concern, but also a public nuisance.
It's very, very common for us to find alcohol consumption, drug use, prostitution, lower-level vice crimes, which, of course, sooner or later do spill out onto the streets.
Many believe these properties need help, something the city says it's working toward.